Everybody, thanks for joining me. And it's another beautiful day in Kelowna, British Columbia. Um, you know what? When I was younger, I can remember I used to live in Kitchener, Ontario, and we used to sing this song, "The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out," and then I can't remember how the whole song went, but at the end we used to go, "Shucks, I forgot my spoon." Anyways, that reminded me of today because the worms crawl in and the worms crawl out. I'm going to tell you a story here, and the first story is I'm dealing with a lady, a beautiful lady, and she's dealing with a huge problem from surgeries. Okay, now let's just put it this way: cesarean surgery is the most done surgery. Okay, next to guess what? The next surgery would be low back, or the next surgery would actually be happening down in the pelvic area for women, okay, which would be what? Okay, hysterectomies. Now, let's understand something. All of this would not be happening, any of these surgeries, if we didn't have worms. But the reality is what you need to understand something is that worms will live in any low vibrational human being. Okay, ready for this? So you can have the best diet in the world. And if you're the type of person that is always anxious, because anxiety, understand there's no disease called depression. So when you get really anxious and you keep running the same story over and over again because you believe that, you have to be on guard for things. And if you're on guard for things, what does that mean? That means you're under attack. But what if you're the one that's doing the attack? That would be you. So understand this, that the actual stories we tell ourselves create everything, okay? I will never, ever have worms, even if I eat a product that had worms in it or even eggs of worms. I don't care because I know that my health is right up there. I'm a high vibrational being. I've got lots of hydrochloric acid in my stomach. And if I didn't have a lot of hydrochloric acid in my stomach, then I would do what's called therapeutic vomiting. You might want to check that out because when you can't digest your food, it means that, guess what? You couldn't address things, so you suppress things. And that's why you make me sick to my stomach. That's why this makes me sick to my stomach. She makes me sick to my stomach. That's why my stomach is in knots. That's why I can't digest the idea of doing this. Do you understand? Well, understand this. If you have stomach problems, you've got worms. Because if you've got stomach problems and your hydrochloric acid is too low, then when the worms come in, if you are getting them in your foods, if you don't have your stomach acid strong enough, okay, to actually go in there and emulsify and destroy these worms, if they get into the small intestine, okay, then we're going to have a problem. Now, understand this, 99 out of 100 people have worms. That's right. If you've got any chronic symptoms, if you have anything that they call diseases, okay, then chronic symptoms, diseases, autoimmune diseases, you're full of worms. Any place where you have a chronic illness in your body, whatever the organ is, the joints, the muscle tissues, you've got worms. Because understand, worms will actually come alive inside your body to actually go in and get rid of what? Disintegrating, rotting tissue. And understand something, you're rotten to the core. And guess what? If it wasn't that you had a rotten core, okay, and your immune system wasn't falling on the floor, you would have never any worms living inside of you. Now, believe it or not, most people that have worms, they didn't eat eggs of worms, and they didn't eat worms. The worms actually were created in your body because the worms are going in and they're eating up things that are worse than them, which could be, okay, disintegrating, rotting tissue. If you were to open up anybody, any part of their body that actually somebody would say, you have a disease here, you have a disease there. If you open that up, it will smell like rotting flesh. I hope you're dying flesh, rotting flesh, same thing. Now, let's make this perfectly clear. I've got a bowl of fruit and it's sitting on my cupboard. And then guess what? What happens when the fruit gets older, when it loses its vibration? And you know what I mean? means by losing its vibration. The frequency in the fruit is coming lower, and the sunlight that was actually captured in the fruit is leaving, because the older it gets, it loses the sunlight and the vibration or the frequencies come down. Well, does the fruit put out a call, okay, to fruit flies around the world, to fly down the chimney or through the cracks, through a doorway? No. The actual fruit that is actually rotting actually brings the fruit flies to life. You know, I'm going to be talking about parasites a lot because it's never talked about. And understand something. You do understand this, don't you? That the majority of the population saying about, let's say, I'd say anywhere from 85, 95% of the population is rotting out in their pelvis. I'd say that they are pooping in their pelvis. If you don't believe me, why don't you go and take a look at my video, How to Become Number One at the Art of Number Two, or Holy Crap, the Holy Grail, which you'll find in my library. And why don't you go and get some real science, some real health training, and go watch my video, The Highway to Life, which is in my library. All of these can be found at thedocofdetox.com. I will give you more training in a few hours than a doctor gets his whole life. And I'm talking about medical doctors, and I'm talking about most natural health practitioners, because understand, if you don't understand that everything deals on frequency and light, okay? Hey, by the way, just, you know, relating to frequency and light, how many people know that your eyes do not see? They only pick up frequency and light. And how many people know that when you have eye disorders, it's actually because you have a brain disorder? And how many people know that these eye disorders were never around 25 years ago because of all the blue light poisoning coming off of phones, coming off of LED lighting, coming off of TVs, coming off of when you go to the movies, coming off your computer? And how many people know that 10,000 children, teenagers that is, are being diagnosed with cataracts every day now? And understand something, that talk about low vibration. Now that's because their brains are being burnt out by the blue light. That's bringing their vibration down. So understand, they don't just have cataracts, okay? They got worms too. What did I tell you? I told you cannot have a chronic degenerative problem in the human body without worms, okay? You need to get that. And you're hatching and creating your own worms. Just like you can create good bacteria, which is your immune system, you can create fungus, you can create worms, and you can create bad bacteria by the way you think, by the way you drink, by the way you eat, by the way you treat yourself, by the way you live, okay? So when I say the worms crawl in and the worms crawl out, every day I deal with about a half a dozen people that don't know that they have a bad case of worms, and they are going around to every doctor. I mean, breathing disorders, worms, Alzheimer's, worms, arthritis, worms, IBS, worms, diabetes, worms. Okay, you cannot have any disorder without worms. Now, when you go to the medical doctors and they go to test you for worms, they're going to do a stool test, right? Well, guess what? That has got to be the most lousiest test you'll ever do, because the worms actually will go underneath the lining in your intestines and hide out. And they will actually live behind your eyeballs. They'll live in your brain. They'll live in all the different organs. And they only live in the organs that have issues in the tissues until they start to, and then when they start to deteriorate, then the worms get stronger. Why? Because the vibration comes down. Remember something, if you were a high vibrational person, drinking and eating high vibrational foods, hanging around with high vibrational people and having high vibrational habits, you would never have to worry about worms in your life. And those of you who, you know what, do you know how many people will call me up, Dr. Wolf, what is it? I have to do a worm cleanse like every 3 months, okay? And understand, I don't believe in doing any cleanses in the body anymore. So I'm the Doc of Detox, and I don't believe in cleansing. Well, I'll tell you why, because I don't believe in deep cleansing, because you shouldn't have to do it. If you knew how to make the correct choices from the moment you rise until you close your eyes, like I've been just talking about, you would never have to worry about worms. But because you belong in the herd, or you don't belong there, but you are there because you follow the herd, understand something, you're always going to have worms. You might get rid of them, but they're going to come back, because worms only decide to live there because the terrain is low vibrational enough. It is rotten enough. Okay, let me tell you something. You will find worms, bad bacteria, and fungus. Where will you find that? In a manure pile. You'll find it nowhere else. So yes, you're a walking, talking manure pile. Why do you think your bowel movements smell? Why do you think your armpits, when you smell, you go, ooh? Or why do you see those big yellow stains? I mean, you should be able to sweat without actually destroying your shirts or having these ugly stains in here. That's because you're pooping from your armpits. Thank you very much. If your armpits smell, then you've got worms. Okay, if your breath smells, you got worms. If your bowel movements smell, you got worms. If you've got any type of fungal infection, you don't just have fungus, you've got worms. If you have a bacterial problem, bad bacterial problem, you've got worms and you've got fungus. Now understand, these guys all come to the parasite party. Now, here comes the sales pitch. Are you ready for it? First of all, I just want to tell you this. There are hundreds of different types of worms. And there are different worms for different organs. There are different worms for different what you call diseases, which are actually symptoms. Okay? Because there are no diseases, there's just symptoms. And I'm going to keep repeating myself, guys. So, and these symptoms are just body messages that you're following the herd. And you need to get that. Would you say that the majority of the population is highly educated when it comes to health? Or would you say that they're very ignorant? I would say they're very ignorant. Are they stupid? No, they have very stupid beliefs. You know what? It's like this. When you do a worm cleanse, you're trying to kill the worms. So go ahead. You just go ahead and do that. Why don't you do something that goes in and does a worm cleanse, and you did nothing to improve your terrain? Nothing. Nothing. I would really like to start hanging around, okay, with people who love and care for themselves. But meanwhile, my belief systems are, I don't love and care for me. So why would I ever be able to hang around with people that love and care for themselves? So the reality is, if you don't know, want to change your belief systems to bring your vibration up, they're just going to come back anyways. You can cleanse yourself until the cows come home. Understand that. And remember something, most of the body is a detox organ. So if most of the body, let's talk about it. Your lungs are a detox organ. Your skin is the largest detox organ. Your large intestine is not just a large detox organ. It is 85% of your immune system. Your liver is a detox organ. Your lymph system is a detox organ. Your kidneys are a detox organ. There's not a lot left that isn't a detox organ. But understand this. Most people are suffering from chronic fatigue. If you've got chronic fatigue, just know that you got worms. Because if you're tired, that just means that you don't have a lot of energy in your cells. And when you don't have energy in your cells, you are going to get attacked by predators, right? Let me tell you something. If you don't want to love, honor, and protect yourself, you will be attacked by predators, whether it's the government, the medical system, because the medical system are predators. You know, I know they are great at emergency care, but they're predators. The big farmers are predators. Food corporations are predators because they're owned by the tobacco industry. Look, there's so many predators out there that if you don't want to learn how to love and care for yourself, before I get back into the worm thing, I was talking about somebody today, and I was telling her that I said, it's very important that you become self-centered. And she said, oh, I couldn't do that. I would never be self-centered. And I'm going to tell you something. I love being self-centered, because self-centered means centered into myself. You know what? We have been taught that everybody's self-centered. Yeah. As soon as you start to look after yourself, as soon as you start putting yourself first, and I've never put myself first where my family has said to me, Daryl, you're such a prick. Okay, you're always putting yourself first. You eat first. You don't leave anything left on the table. We're not talking about that. I don't live in survival mode. You know, there's people that live in survival mode and they do something else. But me being self-centered means me being centered into myself, which means I'm never going to have worms. You have to understand, I can't give what I'm not. And if I'm not a high vibrational being, I definitely can't teach it, can I? I definitely can't teach it. All right. All right. So let me just say this right now. 99 out of 100 people have worms. Okay. And let me just say this right now. You have no idea how sick your family is. All right. We live with blinders on, because guess what? If everybody's sick, then nobody's sick. And I'm telling you something. People have really sick beliefs. And you know what? I'm going to tell you. the more that I stand in my power, the more attacked I get. The more people come in and attack me because my beliefs do not match theirs, and my beliefs are never going to match the majority of the population, and I will make sure of it. I will always, guess what I'm going to even do? I'm going to look at the population and go, if they think like that, I'm going to think like this. And because ever since the beginning of time, okay, there's been a government inside of a government, and there's many religions that are so toxic and twisted, I don't even want to talk about it, okay? And believe it or not, people will say I'm not religious. Then I say, well, where do you get your guilt from? Seriously. And the reality is this. Why am I talking about that when it comes to worms? Well, these people are worms with only 2 legs. And the reality is that they can make you feel low enough on the vibrational scale. Then guess what? Worms will live in you even if you eat an organic, higher vibrational diet. You will have worms living in you if you are a self-loather, if you have tons of guilt, if you feel like you're a sinner and you're unworthy of God's love, or your wife's love, or everybody's love, because the world said you did this, so you know what, you're going to get this. And I'm going to tell you, you can shove that where the light doesn't shine, where the worms live, and maybe they'll eat that belief up, because that belief isn't worth a turd. And the reality is this: if you don't want to bring up your vibration, love, honor, and respect yourself just because other people don't want to, because they've got belief systems that they won't allow it. If I have people that have belief systems that believe that I'm unworthy, okay, or of God's love or anybody else's love, and I actually buy into that, does that bring my vibration down? Guess what? I can eat right, but if I don't think right, because thinking right is more important than drinking and eating right. Do you know how many people come to me that have worms that are doing all of this stuff? They'll even be taking nutritional supplements. Okay, let's talk about it. All right, so if you have any type of chronic condition and symptoms, you got worms. Now, the reality is, you can believe me or not believe me, but I know I'm right. I am right, and I don't want to be right, okay? I just want people to be happy and healthy. And this is the deal. If you knew how to get up in the morning and make logical choices, creating a perfect day today, and you repeated that every day, what would happen to you? You'd create new programs all the way down into your cells. So your cells actually have disease programs because you have disease programs in here. And everybody has them because we've been programmed to become a disease. You don't realize that you're a slave. You don't realize that you're low vibration. You don't have a lot of energy. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be 67 years old, and I got more energy than some 6 and 7 year olds, okay, where the parents are feeding them. You do know that from 6 to 10 year olds are actually getting fatty livers now. Isn't that cool? You do know that 1 out of every 4 children are actually on the obese scale. You do know that, right? Okay, so the reality is that little child that is overweight, okay, and low energy, that little child is full of worms. You do get that, right? Okay, I want you to understand that most children are full of worms, most adults are full of worms, most teenagers are full of worms, 99 out of 100 people are full of worms. Now I'm going to tell you what we do. You're never going to come to me and I'm going to go, here's our parasite herbal formula, you need to take this. The reality is, I believe in this, that if you take the right products, okay, to create the right vibration, then you don't have to worry about worms, you don't have to worry about fungus, and you don't have to worry about bad bacteria. And I'm going to prove it to you in a second. Now, I'm also going to prove to you that the same products I'm going to show to you gets rid of another parasite. And that parasite is from this, right? You all know what this is, right? Okay. The same thing that the FDA said that the first 2 of these that everybody got, a lot of people got, the FDA just said they're ineffective. Okay. And even maybe, okay. So now those of you that are still doing the booster, okay, you're actually trying to boost up something that the FDA has just now said that they don't believe in. But this is all just a setup because the FDA doesn't want to have egg on its face, because the herd is starting to wake up. Okay. Now, the reality is that what comes from these is a parasite. They're actually putting a parasite into you. And this is a robotic parasite. And this robotic parasite lives off of negative frequencies. Like what? Well, you ready for this? You might not believe it. Not just 4G, 5G, but also blue light, also any type of negativity. So that parasite that you get from this, the more acidic you are, the more inflammatory you are, the more sugar you take in, the more flour you take in, the more processed food you take in, the less water you drink, okay, the more hydrated you are, it feeds this and it'll explode it. I'm going to show you something right now. First of all, I'm going to show you what I've got in product. And you know what? Go to somebody else if you don't want to come to us. But the reality is this. I want to come on and tell you this because, you know, we have a really great sale on right now. But not just that. I want to prove to you I'm right. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I came up with this tea with a master herbalist, homeopathic person who's no longer with us. Now, and this is back when I was 31 years old. This is made out of 5 different herbs. It's called Daily Cleansing Tea. It has no stimulants, no laxatives. You can take it every morning and every night. It costs about the same as a medium coffee. And if you just did that, you get the cork out of your butt. Do you think that if you had stagnation, that you would get putrefaction? And what putrefaction is rotting. And have you ever seen anything that was rotting that didn't have worms and maggots? Did you ever see anything that was rotting that didn't have fungus mold or drill bit predators called fungus drilling holes in it because it's dying? Did you ever see anything that was rotting that didn't have bad bacteria? Well, guess what? Take my Daily Cleansing Tea, which has no stimulants, no laxatives. It'll work on all your major detox organs. You'll know it because your skin will look better. Okay, you'll have more energy. You'll be breathing better. Okay, your blood would look better if you had it tested. But do the Daily Cleansing Tea twice a day. You only start off with 4 ounces twice a day, and then you work your way up to maybe 8 ounces twice a day. And if you're an adult and you're going to give it to your child, and your child is, let's say an adult's 150, we usually go with that, and your child's 75 pounds, you would go with a little bit less than half the dosage. And you know what? First thing you're going to do is with the Daily Cleansing Tea is you're going to take it and you're going to have like, I want my stool to be mushy, okay, like a cow plop for maybe about 10 days to 2 weeks. Why? Because you're cleaning off the walls. And do you think that if I brought out old, rotten, putrefactive fecal material, that I would bring my vibration up and bring more light into my body? Remember, worms live in darkness. And if you bring light into the body, they have to leave and you'll send them packing. So it's all about lightening up. So what if you smiled? Does that help get rid of worms? Yes. What if you laughed? Does that? Yeah. What if you danced? What if you were to only mind your own business on the things that you want in your life and care for, and you were never ever to pay attention to government or the medical system again, and you only wrap your head around the greatest doctors in the world, which is the sunshine, the air, the water, okay, all right, and nature. That's it. And really whole plant-based, high vibrational foods with lots of sunlight. Remember, you want the captured sunlight to come into your body to bring up the light. So to send all those parasites packing. Let me tell you something. If I become the light of my life, will the parasites like government, medical system, they are parasites, the pharmaceutical system, can they feed off a person that lightens up and brightens up and owns their own life and takes a stand? You think about that. So the Daily Cleansing Tea, I'd have my whole family on it. This here is called Black Gold. Okay, I want to make something perfectly clear. You see this product here? This product works in the digestive tract, and this works, the Black Diamond. Black Diamond will actually work in your bloodstream, your brain, your lymph system, and in your cells. This just stays in the digestive tract, Black Gold, and this is Black Diamond. Let me just say something. Do you know about humic fulvic? Humic fulvic is the greatest detoxifier that the world will ever know, the world will ever see. It was in all the soil, all the soil we grew our products in, but guess what? It's been stripped from there. How many people know about humic fulvic? Do you know about that? Do you know that humic will actually balance any hormonal problems? I bet you didn't know that. Did you know that it will neutralize any virals? And you do know a virus doesn't actually mean bug, it means poison in Greek. So it's not a really good jumper. It can't even jump 1 inch, less 6 feet. But we'll get into that another time. So I just want to say this. My humic fulvic We are the only company in the world that make humic fulvic without toxic chemicals. Did you hear what I just said? So I don't care what anybody else says to you. They don't have it because we own the patent rights to that. And we make the only humic fulvic that was not processed with toxic chemicals. And because you know what humic fulvic does? It will actually grab a virus. It will grab heavy metals, and it'll actually lock that down right inside the molecule. Even when you poop it out, pee it out, and it comes out, it never goes back into nature. Did you know that? Okay, that's a fact. All right, so here's the deal. You need to get it. This product here, I will come on and show you tomorrow. I can put a pinch of this into the water. I don't even have to stir it. This is the same plant life that dinosaurs ate, okay, millions of years ago. So will it go bad? No, there's no expiry date. I mean, it's millions of years old already. It's totally pure, and it was processed without chemicals. Isn't that something? This product here will pick up heavy metal wise, heavy metal and toxins, 300 to 600% of its weight. It'll drop off 70 micronutrients into your brain, into your cells, and into your bloodstream. What do you think of that? Pretty cool? Oh yeah, this is what you need. You do this every day and then watch the whole game change. I'm going to talk about a lady here that just happened yesterday, and I can give you thousands of same type of stories, okay? So anyways, this is called Black Diamond, and then the Black Gold, it's more granular, and you take that and it works from your mouth to your rectum. And what it does, the same thing, drops off 60 to 70 micronutrients. It'll load itself up 300 to 600% of its weight with heavy metals, okay, fungus, okay, all right, and parasites, that's right. There is no worm that will live in the body, no heavy metal will stay there, and no fungus will stay there with these two products. And I can tell you, it won't be long before you start seeing results. So here's a lady. There's two more products I'm going to talk about, but I want to talk about this. Here's a lady that when I first started, I got her on the daily cleansing tea. Okay. What? I got her on the daily cleansing tea. All right. So her bowels started to move. Then what we did is we put her on the Black Gold. Okay. What? Okay. Can you back off a little bit? Can you put her we put her on the Black Gold and we put her on the Black Diamond. Do you want to know what happened to her? Okay. You ready for this? She couldn't pee and she couldn't poo. She couldn't pee and she couldn't poo. She goes, I don't think these products are good for me. And I said, I'll tell you something. Here's the deal. They're so high vibrational in pulling heavy metals out and also creating an environment. Okay, these two products along with this, okay, I also put her on C60. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. I had to bring her down off of this. I could only let her do 1 drop of the C60, okay, and I had to pull her off the Black Diamond, and now she's only putting like 2 or 3 crystals in her drinking water and whatever she drinks. She can't put in 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's too high vibrational. So here's the deal. So she's on the Black Gold. She's on the daily cleansing tea. I'll wait till I tell you the story. She's on the daily cleansing tea, and she's just on a couple of drops of C60. Does anybody know what happened? What happened? Was she allergic to it? No, there's no allergies to my products. Guess what? If you bring in something that's high vibrational, every one of my products, whether it's the C60, the Black Diamond, the tea, I don't care what it is, whatever degree, whatever type of product it is, it's the highest vibrational product that I can find on this planet, because everything is about vibration and everything is about light. Yes or no? Frequency turns cancer on, turns cancer off. Frequency turns you on and turns you off. Yes or no? Okay. So here's the deal. I put her on these products. I didn't put her on her very strong. And she calls up and says, I can't pee. I can't poo. I said, okay, we're going to have to pull you off of the Black Diamond. Guess why? It's too high vibrational. So what happened was all of the parasites were running to her orifices, like vagina, like her rectum, all at once. And it was pulling up all these heavy metals out of her body. That's how toxic she was. I could go through her case history and you're going to go, oh my God. I mean, No wonder this woman, okay, is in a situation where she doesn't want to live anymore, okay? And that's where people are getting to the point that I don't want to live anymore if I have to live like this. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with not wanting to live anymore, because guess what? There's no answers out there. There's nothing wrong with you. If you've ever thought about having suicide because you're in so much pain, or you don't have any energy and you don't feel like you have any life, I'm with you. But I'm going to give you a money back guarantee on my consultations and on our therapies that guess what? We're going to change you around so fast it'll make your head spin. So guess what? We backed her off on the diamond, and we backed her off on the C60, which I'll talk about in a second. And you ready for this? The worms are coming out of her orifices, just streaming. And then as soon as I put her on a regular dosage of the black diamond, there's so many, they're all running for the door and they can't get out. Fire! Fire! Okay, what happens? Everybody's running out of the theater, and guess what? People are getting trampled. We can't get out the door. So she goes, I got to get off of this. I don't know what's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? And I go, nothing. Guess what? And that's what happens to everyone. You know what, you guys? You don't even know what you're talking about. There's no allergies to nature's bounty. There's no allergies. There's no such thing as allergies. It's the inability to process it because you're so toxic. Now, do we have an allergy to dairy? Yes, of course. We're not cows. And right after, let me see here, 7 to 10 days after you stop breastfeeding with your mother, you stop making enzymes to break milk down. But meanwhile, what are you going to do? You're going to go out there and look for the biggest udders because you love big udders. Oh my God, it's the cow. Look at those big udders. We can make so much money. And the reality is that causes parasites because cow's milk is 20 times larger than mother's milk, and the casein is actually a poison to human beings. But go ahead, you tell me that long as it's not pasteurized, then it's free range. No, it's a poison is a poison, and it's a poison, it's a poison. You know, I did an article here. I'm back in Canada now, which now I'm living in the States. And, I'm back in Canada, and when I was 31 years old, I wrote an article called Scary Dairy. I'm always getting in trouble in Canada. It's just unbelievable. And I wrote an article called Scary Dairy where they wanted to sue me for $250,000. Did they get one penny? No, they didn't. And because guys, why? I said there was blood in it. There was fecal matter. I could tell you the whole story, but anyways, the reality is you go ahead and you just go milk that cow. You go ahead and drink that milk. And how many people know in Canada, now that I'm in Canada for a lecture, that's tomorrow night at the Royal Anne Hotel. That should be fun. But I'm at the Royal Anne Hotel tomorrow night. What was I going to say? I just went off course. And I'll be giving a lecture there. So if you want to join me, 6:30 is a meet and greet, and it's on Bernard Street, Kelowna. And then 7 o'clock we start. I will come on live, everyone. Okay. So I'm just going to tell you something. So this lady started with us only 7 to 10 days ago. I'm not exactly sure, so I don't want to exaggerate it. And guess what? In 3 to 6 weeks, we'll have her wanting her life back. We'll want her symptom-free probably. And the reality is I know what I'm doing. And if you ever decide you want to get our products, my number is 469-861-8884 or 469-861-9454. Or you can call the 1-800 number, extension 5, and I'll be glad to help you with your answer your questions. And you're not obligated to buy our products, but I will tell you, why don't you do some research and you'll find out I've done mine. Everything that we carry is the best of the best. How many people know about C60? C60, believe it or not, the C60 hemp oil and MCT oil, which is fractionated coconut oil. We have the best C60 in the world. I can prove that as well. It doesn't matter what everybody's saying. Like there's a company called Purple Power. They add palm oils to theirs to make it look purple. Ours is naturally purple. Thank you very much. Our hemp oil comes from Canada. It's the best hemp oil going. And nobody makes C60 like we do. And whether you want to believe this or not, 95% of all C60 comes from China. So you better watch it. And there's people out there using cheap old sunflower oil to try to cut their costs, which good luck on that one. But understand when it comes to this thing, okay? All right, whether you took number 1 or number 2 or the boo, whatever. I'll tell you, if you get on these two things, and you get on the C60 hemp or the C60 MCT oil, if you get a perfect day consult, you don't have to, you can do these things, but if you get a perfect day consult, we only charge $150 and you get lifetime support from us. 6 weeks from the same master consultant, but if they happen to leave, we're still going to support you with other master consultants. But understand, you'll be if you do what I say, not do what I say, but if you do what I ask you to do, with the products that we put you on, even though you might have had to be, I promise you that you'll be symptom free in 6 weeks to 3 months. And you can stay that way if you embrace what we call the perfect day diet and you become self-centered. Oh my God, just people hate that, eh? You're so self-centered. Do you know what, when people say that, do you know what they're actually meaning? You need to live my life. You need to live well, no, I'm going to live my own life. And I'm going to be self-centered, otherwise centered in myself. And I don't give a care what anybody says, do I, Lori? Hey, honey? No, I don't. I don't care what anybody says about my life. It's my life. I will do what I want. It's my life. There is no agency or any type of organization that's going to tell me what to do or my family what to do. And understand something. You guys better rise up. And the only reason why you're full of parasites is because you humble yourself down. Okay, you think you got to destroy the ego. There's no such thing as an ego. There's only such thing as really bad beliefs. Like, how would you like to feel like a sinner all your life? Do you think you might have parasites? Do you think you could? How about feeling like a sinner all your life? That would be a parasite thought, wouldn't it? So guess what comes with it? The parasite. How about feeling like you're a failure? Let me tell you something. Rules are not meant to be bent. They are not meant to be broken. They are meant to be gotten rid of. There are no rules that I have. Only one love, one law, unconditional love. I put this out all the time, you know, and the reality is this, trust me, I every probably, I don't know, 6 months to a year. Sometimes I get off lucky for 2 years, and then I'll have some agency or government try to attack me. And what can they do to me? You know, I'm not materialistically inclined. I believe in the creator of everything, and that my spirit lives forever. And I look after my health. I look after my wealth on all levels. You know what? I don't need these guys. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something right now. I feel really sorry. Not sorry. I don't feel really bad either. How can I say this? I don't feel sorry. I don't feel bad. I think we're in a big pickle. Canadians, if you're watching this, okay, you never had free health care. You had free medical care. So wake the heck up. Wake up. And the other thing is, I'm going to tell you something right now. You know what? We can say whatever we want about United States going to war with all these different countries, but at least they know how to take a stand. At least they know how to stand up for themselves, and which I'm really proud of living in the United States about that. But I'm going to tell you something. Canada, I don't know what, everybody's in a coma. Everybody's in a coma. You know, this guy, this guy who is the main puppeteer up here, let me just say it. He came on the other day and he said that, guess what? I know that people have been really hurt, and some people have lost their lives, and they've got some really critical problems from doing this. Okay, all right. But we have saved billions of people, and we have never tried to force anybody into doing anything. Really. Really, like people could travel safely. Let me tell you something, guys. Do you want to know the biggest parasite of all? I just talked about him. Don't understand something. I have no hate for him. I have no hate for anybody or any organization on this planet, because it's planet Earth, a life-threatening, fun-filled adventure. And the reality is, if I did have hate, then I would have worms. You cannot hate. You cannot hate. You can observe, but you cannot hate. And then you just walk away from it, because guess what? Does anybody deserve the treatment they're getting here in this country? I think you do. I think you do. The day that you can start to eat right, drink right, think right, Okay, stand up for yourself and have an understanding that you need to feed your spirit, which means you've got to find your Braveheart warrior. That will be the day, okay, that they cannot play. And understand something. The greatest worm, okay, is called government. And then big pharma is a worm, okay? And I'm not angry at them because they're always going to be here because the herd is going to let them in, okay? The herd is going to let them in. Look at how scared people are. I mean, seriously, you know what? I cannot walk close to anyone without them going, I'm so, so sorry. You know, it used to be sorry, then it was so sorry. Now it's so, so sorry. And every one of those people that are so, so sorry are so, so full of worms. You cannot have low vibrational thoughts like that. Let me tell you something right now. I was created by God Almighty, and this is my planet. This is my planet. I will go where I want to go. And if I can't go there, I'll find out how to get there. And I will also find out how not to pay taxes. I'll also find out how I do not need a medical doctor or another health practitioner because I am my health practitioner. And I will not treat people, okay? I will train them. And if somebody comes to be treated, we will let them know that guess what? You can only be healthy until your next treatment. So you just go ahead. You just do your 3-month deep cleanse to get rid of all the crap that you shoved in here and you allowed people to put in here and put in here, okay? And put in here. And you're always going to be trying to get rid of worms. That's why people will call me every day, Dr. Wolf, I do a worm cleanse 3 times a year, 4 times a year, and I still feel like my anus is itchy and I just want to scratch it. And I go, well, you know, this is why, because you've got to learn how to do the perfect day. But how are you going to do the perfect day when the rest of your family doesn't want to bring up their vibration? And as soon as you start to bring your vibration up, it's only one out of a family that'll ever do it. One out of each couple will only ever do it. You know what? Find me a couple that totally love themselves and each other and are looking for a great adventure, and they don't give a shit about the government or any of the religions out there that are trying to conform us to try to normal us, which is, there's nothing normal about me, and I'm not angry. You know what? I'm not even talking to you. I'm talking to the 1 out of 10,000 people out there that are going, no more, no more, no more. Okay? And understand something. They want you to talk about how poor you are, how you can't afford this, how you can't afford that. You just keep talking like that, you worm, because I'm going to tell you something. That your low vibrational talk is going to keep worms in you forever. And you know, whether we're talking about a cancer parasite or we're talking about pinworms, you have them because of the way you think and drink and eat. The way you think and drink and eat. So yes, you need to take responsibility. You need to take responsibility, especially if you're an adult, because understand something. A major study came out and said that any children that are around the age of 12 to teenage years aren't going to live past their parents. Their parents are going to outlive them. So you know what? Adults, where are you? Where are you? I'll tell you where you are. You're fat and bloated. You're retaining water. You're full of worms. And guess what? You have to have your glass of wine at night. You got to have your toke, and you've got your addictions. And understand, it's never going to stop. You know what? I want you to think about this. Do you know why there's a drive-through, okay, on every corner? Because the people that actually own them, they have no money concerns because they're the elite. They're the psycho rich. And understand this. Here's one for you before I go. Okay? Here's one before I go. And I know you're not going to like this, but God's not going to intervene. This is planet Earth where the psychos get to hold all the purse strings, and only for the people that are low vibrational and haven't found their authentic self and their gift to gift the world. There's 8 billion of us. There's 150,000 of them maybe, and they're all related, okay? Yeah, they're all related. They're all related to the worm family, but they're also all related. Did you know that? They're all related. How many people know that there was only one president in the United States that wasn't related? All the rest of the presidents were all related. You don't know that? You don't know that the Rockefellers are related to the Rothschilds? You don't know that? You don't know that the same people that own Big Pharma are the same people that own the oil industry, the same people that own the food corporations, the same people that own the hospitals, the same people that that actually get to take a look at every book that comes into every school around the world so that they can manipulate it, so that they can get you low vibrational, so that you become your own worm. You are your own worm, you know that, right? You feed yourself low vibrational thoughts, low vibrational foods, and you know what? I am not picking on you. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to tell you, I want to see your roar. Because you're so much more. You were created by God Almighty. And if you don't feed your spirit, if you don't put a slight smile on, if you don't do the mirror work where you come in front of the mirror, you never go in the bathroom again without looking in the mirror and going, today, say if your name was Jennifer, Jennifer, I will love, protect, honor you more than anyone else or anything else. So help me God. I love you. And you see how I just did it? It's so easy for me to do it. I guarantee you, let me see you guys. Go into the bathroom right now and go do the Braveheart Oath. You'll see it on my website, okay? Actually, I'm going to get, Mindy, can we get the Braveheart Oath up here this afternoon on Facebook and the rest of the places?
Yes, now
okay.
We're making a new one for you.
Nat's making a new one. Well, get the old one up if you could. Or go into my library and go to Braveheart Online Emotional Intelligence course and take that. That's a 30-day emotional intelligence course. Listen, you don't have to like me. You don't have to love me, but I love you. And I love you. And I know, guess what? You may not believe this. I love you, but I don't need your love. Okay? If I needed your love, then I'd have parasites. If I needed your love, I'll have parasites. People that need love from other people, they're parasites. And they have parasites because you were taught that you need to fill your heart up from other people. I don't need to fill up anyone. Lloyd, do I love you? Do I respect you? And do I treat you like the most beautiful goddess?
Yep.
Yes. And do I love myself first and foremost?
Yep.
Yes. And does that harm our relationship?
Nope.
No. Does that make you stronger?
Yep.
Yes. So let me tell you something. You got sucker punched when you walked down the aisle and you said, for rich or poor, in sickness or in health, okay? To death do us part, okay? Let me tell you something. The day that you can fill up your heart totally with love, you'll fall in love with yourself. You'll fall in love with your life. You'll find your passion. You'll find your purpose. And you won't need any more rules from these fools. Think about that, okay? And then I'll come back and do another rant, okay? But not real soon, okay? Because I've got a training with my master class right now, and they're all waiting on the phone here, okay? Because what do? Well, we teach you how to become a New World practitioner, and then you can actually get your doctorate through us. We just opened up a university in Puerto Rico, okay? We're only getting started, okay? Let me tell you something. The sky is not the limit. You are your own universe. Act like it. Have a beautiful day. God bless. Oh, and don't forget, the sale's on if you want to take advantage of that.
It was just asking for your permissions yet on the screen, unless you tapped it twice.
I don't know.
We'll check it.
There's still 86 people on it. See? Look, it's not off yet.
Okay.
So
Hi, Taika.
where's the off on the restream?